So hello everyone, we're live today with WinesOfItaly LiveStream. I'm Katarina as usual, and today we have a guest from Marche again, Stefano Graidi from Terre di Serrapetrona, which is a winery on the Colli Maceratesino. So we're going to talk about wine, which is Serrapetrona DOC, and the grape variety, which is Vernaccia Nera mainly, which is a fairly unknown grape variety, I think, for those who are not close to Marche or Italians or used to drinking the Serrapetrona DOC, which is different from the Serrapetrona DOCG, which is a welcome, Stefano, wine. And please present yourself and a bit about your background.
Okay, thank you, Katarina. Welcome to everybody. Good evening. I think it's for everybody. And my name is Stefano Graidi. I'm from Marche, and I would like to first to show you where we are, because as I told Katarina, it's I think it's important to know the area, because it's really not well known. It's a part of Italy which must be discovered. It's really a beautiful place, not so touristic like Tuscany, but there are a lot of fields to be watched there. And in my back there is a map. So Katrina, I can show the map?
Yes, please.
This is, of course, this is Italy, you see. And Marche is this region in yellow.
Yes.
And you see the latitude of Marche is the same as Tuscany.
Yes.
Serrapetrona is at the same latitude of, let's say, Siena, San Gimignano. But we are on the other side of Italy, on the Adriatic Sea. And of course, the climate is different, of course. And the region, the specific region is here, the yellow Marche. We are at the center of, south center of Marche, at close to the mountain, the National Park of Sibillini. Now, unfortunately, we suffered a very long earthquake.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
You know, yes, like in North, all this region of Sibillini was suffering the earthquake. And so we are working at our vineyard are at 500 meters below, above the sea level, yes. And what is peculiar to this area is that we are not so far from the sea. This means that we are more or less at less than 40 kilometers. So we benefit of a flow, continuous flow of area, the thermic wind from the sea to the mountain and the vice versa. So personally, I believe that our fruit, which is Vernaccia Nera, benefit from this exchange of different winds from the sea to the onshore and the offshore. And Vernaccia Nera is really an autochthonous wine that you can find only in this area. It's very, let's say, small, because there are, it's more or less 40 square kilometer of area that can be called the
Serrapetrona DOC.
Yes, the Serrapetrona DOC. Another peculiar point that I want to underline is the fact that we produce only the Serrapetrona DOC, which means the wine that is not sparkling, because somebody knows only the sparkling wine, but we, you know, you must do or produce, in this case, what you like.
Yes.
This is a beginning point, a starting point. So we choose as a winery to do this wine, which is not sparkling, it's fermo, I don't know in English. thermal.
It's still wine without fizz.
Yes, still wine. And this is a production that comes from really ancient times. And after a research that we did in the past, we discovered that in a book of a winery in the Marche, this was called was still wine, and it was called as the best red fruits of Marche, because yes, because the autochthonous really at that time there were very few red wines in the Marche, and then this the only fruit that can permit you to have aged wine structured, let's say important wine.
Okay. But since I asked you before, just to ask it also now, so because I read that the Vernaccia Nera dates back to the Roman era, but I also read that on your website that it was almost extinct, no, for a while, the Vernaccia Nera.
Yes.
And then it came back because it was rediscovered.
Yes.
You could say something about that. I mean, when did you start to rediscover and produce again in Le Marche?
Yes, because was really was a wine like everywhere in the countryside in the Marche. There were wine that were used only for the family, for the farmers. And then at a certain point, you know, this was without any outside market, and then was really unknown and produced in very little bottles, very few bottles. Then after the Second World War, there was an industrial that had produced sweet, not dolciaria, a sweet, and then he started to produce a sparkling wine from this grape, and then was known with this specifically in sparkling. Then we reconstruct the history, and we start to produce as in let's say in the past.
Okay, that's interesting.
Was based on the passion of my grandfather, and was something that was going on in a continuous, but not in the same with the same production. Was small, then bigger, then now we try to have a continuous production since some almost 15 years.
Okay. So, but since how long does the DOC, the Serrapetrona DOC exist? Is it the same since after the war, or is it something newer?
No, the Serrapetrona DOC is something, let's say, new. I mean, was re-proposed after, let's say, when we begin the production, so as a winery, as you see now.
Yes.
So it means 15 years.
Okay, so you suggested that they should.
Yes. Then also other producers follow us.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so I'll let you continue your presentation of.
Yes. The wines are since must be aged wines. For example, our wine, which we call the youngest one, is now the name is Colle Quanto. I show you the bottle, if I can. This is the bottle of Colle Quanto.
Okay, cool.
And is a wine of 2013. So this is the youngest that we have now on the market.
Okay.
This give you the idea of how need this wine to be aged first in also in the bottle and all the process.
Mm.
So then we have let's say what we can be called Reserva, which is Robbione.
Yeah, I saw that on the website.
And you have seen in the website.
Yes.
Robbione is this one. With me, of course. This is a Robbione. Oh.
Okay.
And this bottle is
Just continue, because you were talking about the Robbione, no?
Yes. The Robbione is a wine that will stay in in the steel tanks for 2 years, and then will be passed on for 4 years in the oak big barrel.
Okay.
Of 25 hectoliters.
Okay.
So after that is bottled, and then how long, much longer is stay in the bottle, better this way.
But is this something to do with the grapes, so it becomes smoother, or I don't know? How are the tannins in the Vernaccia Nera? I forgot to ask about that before.
Yeah, the Vernaccia Nera is the grapes are first of all, the harvest is done at the end of October.
Okay.
Because we are in altitude, and so we need as much as possible to be mature on the plant.
Okay.
Then for the Col de Quanto that I talked before, 2013. The Col de Quanto is a wine that is just the stemming pressed, then passed in the steel tank, and then very quick in the big oak barrel of 50 hectoliter for 18 months. So in the Col de Quanto you can taste and smell the really expression of this grape of Vernaccia Nera, because it's direct from the grape, let's say, then producing wine and then bottle. So this is really the expression and the smell of this grape. For Robbione is different, because the production is like let's say Amarone or other big wine like that. And this means that we have two different vinification. One vinification is leaving some grapes on the plant, waiting bigger maturation, and let's say for 15 days more or less, depends on the weather, of course. Then is other part with the chosen grapes, because the grapes must be perfect, are put into fruttaio. Fruttaio is a big room where these grapes are dried. Are dried naturally, I mean with just a flow of air for the external outside the winery. It's put inside with the mechanism that, and after, let's say, 1 month, then there is a vinification. So there are two different starts of vinification. One from the grape that are from the plant, because it's earlier, and then from the fruttaio, the dried grape, and then they stay, as I said, 2 years in the steel tanks, then in the oak barrel.
Okay.
There is a moment where these two mass of wine are blended, and this is a choice of enologue, of course.
Yes, of course.
Enologue with also other, everybody of us, and we taste, of course, the wine. Yes. So it's really inexpensive, because everything is made by hand, there is no mechanic harvester.
Okay.
All with and you can imagine that we are on the hill, so it's not
Yeah, so it's a
flat.
bit.
It's not flat. So
It's hard work
it's
to
a hard
pick the
work,
grapes.
yes, for the people. But you are satisfied because at the end the product is really.
For those of you who are listening in now, has arrived lately, we're talking to Stefano Graidi from Terre di Serrapetrona in Marche, and if you have any questions, you can just write them in the comments below. So just continue with talking about your wines.
Yes.
You talked about two, and we were on the Robbione in the last wine, I think, and
Yes.
then
there is another wine from Vernaccia Nera, which it's called Sommo. Is this bottle, which is half liter, and Sommo is Passito. So the difference of Robbione, of course, is that the grapes remain in the frutaio for drying longer, and then there is a vinification still. And this wine go into the barrel, French barrels.
Okay.
Barrels, oak barrels, and a small portion in the ciliegio. I don't know the word in English.
Ciliegio?
Ciliegio is
cherry.
Yes, cherry wood.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, it's something peculiar which make the wine very interesting, this Passito, because differently as everybody can imagine, it's not too sweet or liquor, no?
True.
And yes, and so remain with as a wine, really. There is there is a note of sweet, but it's a wine, so with some tannic inside. So it's very interesting because you can drink alone, as we say, the meditation wine, or with sweet, or with also cheese.
Okay.
It's really very, very interesting because it's you can use in a different situation with friends, or at the end, it's an happy end of lunch or dinner.
Yeah, because then I see you also do a sparkling wine, no?
Yes, we do some sparkling wine, but it's not. It's from Pinot Noir.
Yes.
And we produce as Pinot Rosé. It's called Blink. I have not here the bottle, but it's okay. It's an international grape, so it's not really something.
No, it's something extra.
You know. Yes, no, you're right. The area of vineyard of our winery is only 17 hectares. Yes.
So I don't know. We talked a bit before about the area and that it's beneficial with the winds from the seaside for the grapes and the vines. I don't know if you would like to talk something more about the soil. What is particular about the soil and how it influences also the grape and the wines?
Yes, the soil, of course, influences the wine. The soil is a typical soil of Appennino, central of Italy. So it's Marna, we call, and it's a mix of calcare and argilla. It's really a soil that give to the grape a special taste.
Yes. So what does it give? I mean, I guess it gives also minerality, but minerality is also a bit from the seaside, I guess. What other typical characteristics does it give to the Vernaccia Nera for those who never have tasted the Vernaccia Nera, not even in a sparkling variety?
I guess there are many people that never.
I think to have have tasted the distilled version is probably not very many people. I've never tasted the distilled version either.
No, also because we are talking in any case of really of small productions. The total hectare of vineyard are less than 17 hectares.
Yes.
So at the end, the number of bottles are really not so massive because Robbione is really a sort of Amarone from Marche. The difference that is not a wine blended, but is 100% of Vernaccia Nera. This is also different from, let's say, the Amarone, of course.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
But does it have to be 100% of Vernaccia Nera, or can it be?
No, these wines that I mentioned, Collequanto, Robbione, Avoreserve, and Sommo de Passito, are all 100% of Vernaccia Nera. So this is also a peculiar of our winery.
But according to the DOCG, does it have to be 100%, or can it be, or was it 85%?
No, you have the possibility to blend with other wines for 16%.
Yes. So there's a question from Nadia Padrin, who she asks if, as the DOCG is only sparkling wine for Vernaccia Nera, but it looks like the DOC, she says, is more interesting. And she asks if you ever tried to make sparkling wine, or if you didn't, and why? If you didn't.
No, we didn't. This is let's say, strategic choice of us. And when I say strategic, it means it's a question of passion. It's a question of, I said, you must do, if it's possible, in the life, something that you like. You must believe in what you are producing, what you are offering to the people. So we believe in this DOC.
So thank you, Nada, for the question. And if anybody else has any question on the Vernaccia Nera,
the characteristic of Collequanto, for instance, is a wine that you can smell really a lot of spice and pepper, and is of course really, it's a fresh wine. Never there is, let's say, it's aged, because we are talking of a wine of 4 years ago.
Yes.
But it's still a fresh wine, so it's also interesting for this reason. You can drink in any occasion, because it's the alcohol level is 13%.
Yes.
So it can be drink, let's say, for in many occasions, and is a wine. Since it's a red wine, I would suggest to try with meat, with red pasta, and also with some vegetarian dishes.
Okay.
Because for this spicy smell.
Okay.
Robbione is different, because we are talking of wine which is has a level of alcohol of 15 degrees, and so it's let's say much more important wine that can be, of course, very, very good with some dishes that we have in the area, wild meat, also with some pasta, and it's really interesting with this. Must be, let's say, a dish of an important dinner. It's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
About the Passito, I already talked about.
Well, no, that you said. It's more for sweets, or as a meditation wine.
Yes.
So there's a question from one of the international friends who, of course, asked if your wines are possible to find somewhere outside Italy.
Yes, first of all, it's possible just to call us in the winery. So we are pleased to send you the wines, or you can find in Enoteca, some Enoteca.
Okay.
It depends of the area, but what you can do is to ask your dealer to find to find this wine.
Okay.
So we are the moment you can find us in a place in London or in Berlin or in Munich, or and in Italy in Milan, Como, and of course in our area, Rome,
Okay.
Rome.
Okay, that sounds fair.
But there are, let's say, till now there are really a few points that you can find directly the wine. The best is to ask the dealer to call us.
True. So how many bottles do you make of the different wines? I mean, I guess it's not you only have 12 hectares of Vernaccia Nera, so I guess it's not that high production.
No, the Riserva Robione is just 9,000 bottles. For Passito is 3,000 bottles, and for Colle Quanto is 25,000 bottles.
Okay, so it's around 35,000.
Yes, for Vernaccia Nera, yes.
Well, that's still fairly okay production.
Yes, we
not
are
too much, but still, it's not that
we are a small winery, but not a micro winery. Let's say.
True.
Family
so, I mean, for those of you who wants to find their wineries, you can certainly contact them, or you can ask that where you are that they start importing the wines.
Yes.
So for any of you who have any questions, just feel free to ask them. We still have some time here with Stefano. So if you want something that he should explain something more about their winery and their wines, just feel free to write it in the comments below. So I also heard that, of course, as Vincenzo is...
Yeah. Caterina,
please go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot one place which is important for us. It's Zurich, in Switzerland.
Okay,
also.
So they're also in Zurich, in Switzerland.
There are a lot of friends there, and so it must be mentioned.
So as we also have Vincenzo here, which we were saying hello to before, so it's that you also have an agriturismo. I don't know, do you want to say something about the connection between the winery and the agriturismo also for those who goes to the Marche?
Yeah, the agriturismo is a part of the winery. It's a really important part of the winery because it's small but efficient, and we have only 4 rooms with bathroom, side, etc. And Vincenzo is the manager, and he's also the cook in the agriturismo. So, and he is really a very good cook.
Okay.
And, so the menu, of course, is really of we say.
So you have a restaurant too that you offer.
Yes, we have also
okay, that's cool.
The menu of the restaurants is really, let's say, compatible with the wine. So,
well, that sounds.
It's working. This is working.
So Vincenzo says that is in the.
A day. 24 hours a day.
Yes.
So the dishes that he prepares are. You can have the opportunity to test with the wines.
Okay.
And all the products that we use as a agriturismo are a product that comes from zero. Another point that we produce as a conventional, it's a conventional production.
Okay.
You know, now many people ask for biological, biodynamic. Also, this is, we discuss a lot about that. And we are convinced that what is important is that the wineries in the production will respect the, there is an ecological respect of the
Okay.
environment.
Yes.
So we take care a lot of the environment. So
Okay.
our production is remain conventional, also due to the fact that we are in an area that to do biological wines means to use a lot of products.
Yes.
Because in any case, there is rain, it's humid, and we are in altitude and so on.
But are you also sustainable in the sense that you kind of reuse with solar cell energy, and that you reuse within the estates your own? I mean, what you
No,
because some wineries are also like that nowadays, that they try to kind of as much as possible reuse what they use.
Yeah,
Say it.
One point very important is when you use products, chemical products on vineyard. And we take care of the forecast of weather, because this is really, really important, and to minimize the use of chemical products. And this chemical product, also we use a machine that avoid that this chemical product fall down on the.
And Nadia again was curious. She's doing the questions tonight. The others are a bit shy. So she was asked about the menu for tonight from Vincenzo, what they're cooking.
I don't know from Vincenzo really, because it's not but maybe it's possible that he will answer you. But I can imagine that for the first dish of pasta, we use fresh pasta, tagliatelle.
Okay.
With a ragu of wild, tomorrow Vincesgrassi Marchigiani. Vincesgrassi Marchigiani, okay, I finished. It's tagliatelle with wild menu, or wild ragu from cinghiale.
Ah, wild boar. Ah.
Yes, there are many, like in Tuscany.
yes.
And then the same for as second dish, main dishes. It's with let's say with this wild animal, but done in a special manner that knows only Vincenzo.
Ah, okay.
It's, for sweet, we use a lot of chocolate, because it's very good with sommo. For tomorrow, Vincenzo said that he's preparing Vincesgrassi Marchigiani. Vincesgrassi are similar to lasagne, but without, or very, very little, or without bechamel, the cream.
Okay, the bechamel, yes.
So it's different fields, I don't know, strati of pasta with red ragu, but without bechamel, without cream.
Well, it sounds very juicy.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yes.
So we have to go there and try out the lasagna.
You're welcome. Yes, it's not so far from Florence.
No. I often fairly frequently pass by Le Marche, so sometimes I'm sure that that I will pass by.
You must visit us.
Yes. And so thank you again, and I hope for all of you who watched that it was a good live stream. I think it was very, very interesting, and I hope to see you soon somewhere at an event or in Le Marche. So thank you very much again, and see you next Tuesday. The guest is still to be defined, so I will let you know as soon as I know. And have fun, and see you next Tuesday. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Caterina. Thank you. See you soon, and then thank you, everybody.
Ciao.
Ciao.